Hello everybody, and welcome back to the new VR news. As always, I am Mateo311, and this is your one channel for everything VR related. Today, we have some new game announcements, the media is once again picking on VR, and we have a ridiculous new VR headset to check out. If you guys end up enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. Okay guys, let's get into this. So first up in the game news, we got some gameplay footage of a VR PvP avatar earthbending style fighting game called Rumble. Buckethead Entertainment, the developers of this game, actually have a giveaway running for 5 keys, which I will link in the description. There's currently no release date for this title, and the Steam store page simply says soon. Alright, next up, Virtual Battlegrounds, the VR Battle Royale game, was supposed to release last week, but was delayed until this week. I've played this game for multiple hours, and we're part of 2 large gameplay sessions, so I will have an early access review up this week if you guys want to know my overall opinion. But as of right now, I think it has a good foundation, but it needs some work. Next up, Boneworks just received the 1.4 update, which came with 3 new levels, a handgun, and they've spent a lot of time reworking the hand physics. So things like climbing, punching, and swinging should be vastly improved. There's also a new time trial minigame, and just a slew of performance upgrades and bug fixes. Boneworks was already one of my favorite VR titles, so stuff like this is just a cherry on top. So last week we also saw the release of Iron Lights, a new VR fighting game. I have to say this wasn't what I was expecting. I do have a full review of the game up on my channel right now if you want to check that out. It's available on the Quest and PC VR. There's crossplay amongst all platforms, and I have to say the Quest version is nearly identical to the PC VR version. It's a bit arcadey and takes place in slow motion, but it's still strategic and fun. It's not a must-play title, but I'm sure many people will enjoy this game. So last up in the game news, Echo Arena is coming to the Oculus Quest, and there will soon be an open beta. I will have a link to the open beta in the description, but if you've been following this game for a while, you would know it's been delayed on the Oculus Quest for quite some time. They have a roadmap to release, and it's currently in a closed alpha testing state, but soon enough we should see the release. Now I have to admit, this is one of the few VR titles that I have never tried, but maybe when it releases on Quest, I'll finally get around to it. Okay, so moving into the software news, just as Valve is reporting that 1.7 million Steam users currently own and are using a VR headset, and the global supply of Oculus and Valve headsets just cannot keep up with demand, well, during this time, Forbes magazine would like to remind you that Half-Life Alyx was not a breakout moment for VR. Now the article sets the stage as if the stars have aligned and everything should be perfect for VR, yet the breakout moment just didn't happen. The global quarantine is the perfect time to play some video games. VR headsets are finally cheap and affordable, and there's a new amazing game that's getting tons of great reviews. The only problem is that's not exactly true. Yes, a lot of people may be locked at home and have more free time available, but this is also a time of deep uncertainty. Many people are losing their jobs, so you cannot go out and spend anywhere from $400 to $1,000 on entertainment equipment, and that's taking into account that you already have a gaming PC. And while the Oculus Quest and the Rift S did make things much more affordable, they're currently sold out, so it's definitely not the time to be playing VR games, and those cheap VR headsets also aren't that available. The article also downplays the significance of Half-Life Alyx, stating that only a week later, the number of players has significantly dropped off. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and assume this is the first time they've looked at game stats, but that is an extremely common trend. Half-Life Alyx isn't the new Apex Legends or Fortnite or any of those long-term sustained online games. And their final prediction for the growth of VR is brutally slow expansion to the point that VR gaming remains niche for the next 10 to 20 years. Now this is an extremely pessimistic viewpoint. While I am partially in an echo chamber surrounded by other VR fanatics and fans and enthusiasts, I do my best to push that aside and just look at the actual stats and compare them to the history of some other products. If you're familiar with consoles in general, Atari almost destroyed the entire entire industry in the early 80s. And it took Nintendo years to get that market going again. And VR is just entering its third year now, and while I do agree, a lot of people did expect VR to grow much more quickly than it has, the growth is definitely there. It's funny what we consider niche these days. I think the problem is we just need to stop directly comparing it to the gaming industry that has already been around for the past 40 years. Just to throw out a random figure here, there's about 4 times as many VR gamers as there are golfers in the world. No one's claiming golf missed its breakout moment. Okay guys, moving into the hardware news. StarVR 1 is now available for purchase, kinda, sorta, maybe, inquire here. I wish I could tell you guys this is the absolute next best thing. This is the index killer, but unfortunately it's not really a consumer product. But overall, this is a pretty insane new headset. Now it's insane for some of the right reasons and definitely some of the wrong reasons. I mean, first up, it has an insanely large horizontal FOV at 210 degrees. It has 2 really high resolution AMOLED displays and even built-in eye tracking. The only problem is it requires 2 DisplayPort connections and 2 USB connections. There's also currently too many unknowns with this product. And the Pimax 8KX is an already available consumer level competitor. Now that product sells for $1,800, but that is with Valve Index controllers and a base station setup. When it comes to the StarVR 1, we don't have those specifics. In fact, we don't even officially know if it works with Steam VR games. We assume that, and we know it does work with Valve's tracking system, but again, there is a lot of unknown here. The minimum system requirements are also pretty darn high. Now my major problem with this headset is just the fact that if it is going to come in at a price tag of something close to $3,000, well then it should win in every single spec against any competitor, and that's not the case. There are actually HMDs with higher refresh rates and even higher resolutions. We don't know what level of distortion that high FOV is going to bring. It also doesn't have a physical IPD adjustment, and you're going to have to sacrifice an additional DisplayPort to get this thing to run. So unless this product comes in at a price tag lower than the Pimax 8KX, I just honestly don't see what all the fuss is about. It would be cool to see these deployed in some high-end VR arcades, but I don't think you should run out and try and buy one of these. Okay guys, that was the new VR news. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope everybody's staying safe during this global pandemic. If you're staying inside and playing some video games, sound off in the comments and let me know what you've been playing while you're trapped indoors. Okay guys, I will see you on next time.